Good morning, everyone. So 7 o'clock UTC, excuse me, 8 o'clock here in Lanzarote, and 9 o'clock in France on the 14th of September. So the days are ticking by. Anyway, before we go into the actual detail of the entrance, I thought I'd just explain a little bit about the weather overall and what's the objective for now for the entrance. The Atlantic here now is looking very traditional, very much more traditional than what it was for the start, leaving Les Sables d'Olonne and heading out across the Bay of Biscay. Usually there is this sort of following wind flow coming down here along the coast of Africa, and you get into the northeasterly trades here, and you can see that's already developed now, so very consistent. And then you've got your doldrums here, very mixed up area of wind, which is affected by the collision of partly the collision of these southeasterly trades coming across here, meeting the northeasterlies coming across there, and then bang, you get temperature gradients, you get thunderstorms, you get local squalls, all this sort of mixed up weather before you get to the equator. And then once the fleet sort of made it down this far to the equator, they're going to have to close reach across these southeasterly trades, make their way down to Trinidad, little island here that Bernard Matessia made for, and tried to get some messages across in 1968, and then they're free to make for Cape Town. And usually there will be a South Atlantic high sitting here, and that'll change, this sort of squash up here, and this is the sort of centre of that sort of concept, is caused by the storms in the Southern Ocean right now. Remembering, of course, that in 2018 the fleet was actually down around this area at this time of the year. They were heading into the Southern Ocean with all its various bits and pieces. And in fact, I was just looking at this morning. This looks very familiar for those that remember what was going on in the 2018 edition. Sudden changes, really tight little circles. So hopefully some of that will disappear by the time the fleet gets there, and everything will be a bit more organised. So now if we close in on the fleet here, you can see just about everyone is in a very nice looking weather pattern and consistent flow, so it's going to be pretty much a boat for boat race at the moment. There's a very clear northwesterly flow here that's changing a little bit, going a bit more around to the west-northwest for the leaders of the fleet. And up the back here, Damien's doing really well, considering there wasn't a lot of breeze for him to play with, and it was obviously confusing, but he's maintained speeds of 4 or 5 knots pretty much all through there, catching up to Arnaud. And if we zoom in on poor old Arnaud, he copped the lot. Not big winds, but virtually no winds. He's been in the centre of this low pressure system, and you can see there's 0 in the middle, and you can see he's been fluffing around. And the last report at 4 o'clock UTC this morning had him making 1 knot. So very frustrated, but you'll see that change on the next report. He's just coming out of that hole of 0 wind in the middle, and he'll be happy to get these stronger following breezes, and he'll alter course and start catching up with Mark Sinclair. Mark paid the price of getting inshore, and he's been going very slow, but now he's hooked up. The low's gone behind him, and he's making 4 knots, which some would say is very fast for Mark, Captain Coconut, but he's certainly on his way now down to Lanzarote, and he should hold a consistent breeze as well, as is everyone else. Ian Herbert Jones making 5 knots, doing okay. There's beautiful sailing, the sea's down. He'll be enjoying the ride. Elliot pumping along at 6.4. He's cranked up the speed there, enjoying the ride. And you're starting to see some interesting things with some of the bigger boats that I call them. Kirsten's still making 6.7, one of the fastest in the fleet overall. Wind right behind her. She's actually coming back a little bit more on course. She knows she's out to the west, and she'll slowly start converging down in this direction, so that's okay. Guy Debord making 6.6, but it's still 1 knot slower than Kirsten. And Kirsten's dead downwind by the look of it. Guy's got it on the quarter, so that helps you. With the wind on the quarter, you can go a little bit faster, you can power the boat up. So what I'm seeing generally is that Kirsten's boat is potentially, she's obviously a good sailor, but you can't beat waterline length, so it'll become a bit of a discussion as we go forward in the race, that she certainly seems to have picked the right boat. The guy's boat's similar, big powerful boat, so he's making good average speeds. It's 6.6 knots, there's nothing wrong with that. Ablis is only doing 6.2. Now I can assure you that they should be getting similar weather, and Abolish is not going slow, but you can see there's a difference in boat speed straight away. And yes, Guy's a good sailor as well, but the boat helps. So, and he's the first to admit that on the computer, on paper, his boat is about 1,000 miles quicker around the world. So some of this stuff may be starting to show up already. Captain Goog, you see there, he's got 5.7, doing okay, keeping in touch with the fleet. Ayrton's the same, 5.2. Then we've got Guy doing 6 knots, a little bit better than Ayrton, but there's still some holes in the breeze here too. It's a bit hard to say. You can just see a slight difference in the colour gradient here. And Jeremy, 5.2, they're all in touch. Pat, 5.6, that's doing okay. So, it's just a boat speed thing at the moment. Now, Simon is making 6.1, and right next to him, only literally 5 miles away, Tapio's doing 6.4. Now, that tells me again that Tapio's boat may be a little bit more powerful in certain situations, so it'll be fun to watch and see what's going on. When they're right alongside each other, that's when you start to see the true form of skipper and boat. And maybe Simon was asleep a bit, who knows, because it was, 4 o'clock is in the middle of the night. If we go up here, you may remember this little toggle. That's actually showing you where's day and night, relatively speaking. If I toggle this back, you'll see, go really small. Here's the sun coming along here. This will slowly move across as it gets across. So it's another little feature you may not or may have forgotten about. I'll turn that off and zoom in, and let's look at what to expect. Because we're now, the whole fleet is in this, general airflow from the northwest, you're going to see there's not a lot of changes. In fact, I'll scale this back between here and Lanzarote, which is down here. There's Lanzarote. Here's the fleet, and we go forward. About 24 hours. You can see everyone's still in touch with the breeze. Everyone will be enjoying this. There's a bit of a hole here on the corner of Finisterre, but Damien will be aware of that. He'll be through that by then. Certainly our Nord's in it. And there seems to be another little pressure system forming here, but I think Mark will miss that. And so everyone's got a reasonable, airflow going down to Lanzarote, and that's at 6:30 tomorrow. So if we go to the next day, that's midnight tomorrow. It's forming up really easy, all following breezes, no surprises. Again, right through till that's the end of the day, coming towards the end of the day on the 16th. It's pretty much a happening thing. You're not going to see anyone fall in any dramatic holes. So then from our perspective here, it's going to be quite interesting, because by my calculations, these guys, Simon and Tapio, should be arriving very early in Lanzarote on Saturday, on the 17th, by the look of it. If we toggle it, you'll see the distance here. Put one there. I'll put it onto the tip of Simon's boat. He's the leader at the moment. Onto Lanzarote. They've got 400 odd miles to go, so that's a good 3 days, 140 mile days, which they should be averaging. Early on Saturday morning we should see them, and then we're going to get particularly hectic, because if you look at the rest of the fleet behind it, in the next 120 miles there's 10 boats. That's a day, so we're going to be clearing 10 boats through in 24 hours. There'll be no sleep during that period for sure. We'll be back and forwards, and we've got to see today. We're going down to check everything out at Rubicon Marina to see what boats we've got. We may have 2, but I think we've obviously got 1 boat. We may have 2, because there could be entrants coming right on top of each other, and that'll make it a bit of fun. Anyway, the good news is it's all happening. If we look at the sea state, just to show you what's happening, I'll get rid of the toggle. So how far away is Damien? Let's see from the leaders. Right now from the leaders, Damien is about 500 miles. So there's a 500 mile split between the tail enders and the beginning, and 500 miles. It's about 4 days. No more than 4 days. So first boat's in on Saturday. We've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It'll all be over by Wednesday. They should be through by Wednesday next week, barring any changes, touch wood. But everyone, this is nice sailing. This is what they've been dreaming on after Biscay, and that'll carry on right the way through until they get around Trinidad. They've got the doldrums to deal with, and that can sometimes be very frustrating, lack of sleep. But generally, it's pretty good sailing, and the boats are looking pretty good. So we may end up with quite a few of them getting around the Cape, touch wood. So we were looking at the sea state here, just to give you a relative idea. Go to waves, and it's all in the blues. So looking down at the scale at the bottom again, you'll see here the blues average about 1.5 metres to 2 metres, and that's sort of what they're getting. I think the 2 metres would be about what to expect for the next few days, and great sailing. Some of the boats, if you're reading the tweets, Goog loaded heaps of water last night in a squall. He's filled up all his tanks, had a shower, washed his hair, all that sort of stuff, and some of the others would be doing the same. It's good to catch water whenever you can, because in 2018 there was a distinct lack of rain that was able to be caught, and some of the boats were low on water, so everyone's off to a good start. Seb will be doing a French tracker update today as well, so look forward to that. Anyway, thanks for that.